I recently had a client who came into my office, and if you could judge the book by the cover, you'd never, ever want to be this client's lawyer. He had tattoos covering his entire body. And he didn't speak the King's English. He worked construction, and to say he was rough around the edges would be an understatement. But the first thing I learned when I first became a lawyer many years ago, don't ever judge your clients. Advocate for them. They need a voice. They need a voice that's going to speak for them with clarity and clearness about how they are innocent, how they are people like you and me. And when this gentleman sat down in my office, I listened to his story. His ex had a substance abuse problem. Terrible substance abuse problem. There for the grace of God go I. And DCF had painted with a broad brush because she had a substance abuse problem and he's no longer with her, hasn't been for a long time. Of course he had one. And of course people that wear tattoos all over their body, you can't trust them, we all know that, right? And because he worked construction, you can't trust construction guys, right? And DCF made all types of predeterminations and prejudgments. And I went and got all his records and all his documents and I read through them. And everything that DCF was saying about him, none of it was true. And he had his daughter. And his daughter was going to school, doing exceptionally well. The daughter was in therapy, attending on a weekly basis. The daughter was going to Sunday school. The daughter was playing sports. The daughter was doing gymnastics, doing cheerleading, doing this, doing that. This was all because of the dad, who was working full time and feeding and cleaning and washing and making sure she's going to bed on time and getting up for school on time and going to school. He's doing just a killer job. And DCF didn't acknowledge that. So finally, after going through all the records and seeing it just was nothing there against this guy, there truly wasn't, we turned the ship around. And I wrote to the DCF powers that be and said, listen, you've got this against mother. And I get your concern, legitimate. They should have concerns about the mother. She had recently used a few months earlier, especially with a 5-year-old. And DCF had the right to be concerned. There's no question about it. And DCF had the right to be in this family's life. No question about it. But they didn't have the right to paint with a broad brush and say the father had the same ills that the mother had, which was completely false. So we had father do some hair follicles and some urine tests, and we buffed him up, got him cleaned up, and showed that he was not a substance abuser. And then DCF took another look at him. And they sat down and they realized this is a good dude. And the proof is in the pudding. Child's up to date medically. Child's doing well in school. Child's playing this sport, that sport, cheerleading, here, there, and everywhere. Child's well adjusted. 2 minutes with this young girl and you know she's as happy as could be. And who's doing this? Well, it was Dad. It was Dad. So when all was said and done in probate and family court where the battle first began, DCF had only one choice, and that choice was Dad. And they went in and supported Dad. And they supported Dad to have full, complete custody. And came in and told the judge, this father's just crushing it. And much to DCF's credit, they sang his praise, which they should have right from the get-go, but they didn't have the information. Father didn't provide it. He didn't know what he was doing. And nor did the previous lawyer that represented him. And then when all was said and done, in the very end, and my client said to me, I never believed I'd be sitting at the kitchen table, yucking it up with the social worker from DCF and laughing and joking with each other because they believed in me. I couldn't believe they believed in me. They stopped painting with the broad brush and thinking of me as a junkie like my ex, which I wasn't. And what a great feeling, he said. What a great feeling to know that DCF acknowledged my great efforts, but more importantly realized that I could be a dad to my daughter. And this construction worker, every single night, when he put his daughter to bed, sat and read her a book. That tells you all you need to know about this guy. And of course, DCF was never there to read that book or see him read that book. But you can take it to the bank that Attorney Seaver made that abundantly clear to them. that this father did everything and then some to make sure this daughter succeeded, to make sure this daughter reached where she needed to go, and that this daughter would be a very successful young person in our society due to Dad. Hats off to you, Dad. You know who you are.